All right, everyone, it is interview time. And we are here with our dear, dear, dear friend, Dolly Josette. And I'm just going to say this off the bat. Dolly Josette has actually seen both of our pussies and touched them. If that doesn't make it so you want to keep listening,
It's true. It's true. That was the first time for me.
I'm blushing. I'm blushing.
Consensually, and we talk more about it in episode 102 called Awakening the Pussy, and it is all about vulva mapping and Dolly's work as a sexological body worker. You have probably already heard some about Dolly in the intro as we read her bio, but Dolly, we always start with the same prompt, and I know that you've been on our show before, but maybe things have changed since episode 102 because we're episode almost 400 now.
It's amazing.
So can you please tell our listeners a little bit more about how you got to where you are today in the field of sexuality?
Yeah, it's so funny because I was thinking about this. You never know why things happen. I don't wish divorce upon anybody, but I did get divorced. And one of the big things that was going on was we just had really different sexual desires and we prioritized it differently. And it was a really hard divorce for me because I really loved the guy and he was kind, but there was something that was just missing. And fast forward, 10 years, and now I'm a sex educator. So I say that because when you get those little voices in the back of your head and something's important to you and you're trying to squash something down because it maybe isn't important to your partner. And now look what I'm doing. And now my second husband, Jason, you all know Jason.
I love Jason.
He fully supports what I'm doing. And we discovered the work of sexological bodywork because when we were trying to have a baby, things just were not working. And I got into that mode of obligatory sex to procreate. And we did this session with Ellen Heed, prostate massage. It was one of our holistic things, learning about the bodies, getting our bodies healthier to procreate. And she says, "You're a natural at this. Why aren't you you got to do this." Backstory, I was a TV producer. I mean, I even helped to develop Dora the Explorer.
Yeah.
So, where's the map? Now I'm teaching women about mapping their own, like you said, pussies, vulvas, vaginas, mapping anuses, penises, all the kinds of stuff. So I'm a total Aquarian. I pretty much change my career every 10 years. But my husband was really supportive of it because all this priority of sex, and then all of a sudden it was becoming not fun. Never did conceive, and that's okay because then I decided, let me go do this training and see what else there is about sex. And now my big, big push is really working with heterosexual couples because the divorce rate, because I want people to prioritize, marriages, sex in their marriages. And it's that one thing, especially for the more heteronormative, shall we say, that this is their partner that they get to explore this stuff with. Let's get it juicy. Let's bring everything, out so that we can learn and continue to grow and discover. And Jason is so supportive of that. So I feel really blessed.
Yeah, he is a really amazing human. We got the pleasure of meeting him when you all were here in Santa Cruz. We went to dinner. It was really fun. And that was when we had our vulvas mapped because you were in person and I was super nervous. And you helped me feel so comfortable and safe. And it's amazing to see you again.
Remember what she said to us, though? We talked about this at our retreat about what you said to us about our different pussies.
We talked about it many times, and we use a lot of
your techniques.
Yeah.
What did I say?
I'm down. My pussy is I'm down to fuck. The positioning of it. I've got this outie clitoris.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Amy.
I'm remembering. Yeah. I've seen a lot of pussies.
Yeah.
What you say about yours?
Yeah, and with me, you were these are separate sessions. We were one after the other. And with me, you're wow, your clitoris is in its own little world because it's up here and my labia is it's still connected to it a little bit lower. And I have more of the tucked under pussy, and April has more of the front facing pussy. And then we were comparing notes after, and I was April's the DTF pussy, and I'm the more mysterious.
Yes, you're the more mysterious. Where more arousal's really wanting to come in. So then, boom, the curtains can open and say, "Hey, this is the stage. Come on in."
And April's curtains are we're pretty much already in.
Yeah. Why I was so sexual, so young, right? It's my anatomy. So
humping that teddy bear.
And so this episode is more about this like sex life / relationship reboot, which I think is so important. We get this question a lot about spicing up the sex life. First, so it's a simple question. What is a relationship reboot?
A relationship reboot is when you are in the phase of there's different stages of sexuality. I like to give credit when I hear these things. Jaya, friend and colleague,
love her.
Erotic Blueprints. I was on a master class once and she was talking about these stages of sexuality: rest, heal, curiosity, adventure, and transformation. And so I'm married now 14 years. It's my second marriage. I'm in my early 50s. And I seem to attract people, like the sweet spot is like that 45 to 65. But even more sweet is like 50 to 60 when you're empty nesters, women are going through the change and they're like, wow, things aren't working, or they're getting a divorce or something like that. So a relationship reboot, whether it's with yourself or whether it's with a partner, is taking inventory. So being in that third stage, that curious, let's take inventory. What works for us? What do we love? What else do we want to learn? Are we really being honest about, are we having orgasms? My inbox is flooded with women. I've been faking orgasms and I have a lot of pain, but I don't want to disappoint my husband. So I just let him, get in there, but then there's pain and blood. I have husbands writing me. She just doesn't want to deal with any foreplay. She doesn't want to disappoint me. So she's making her body available, but I'm now feeling like I'm a predator and I don't like this. Please help us. So there are physical things, and then there are trauma things. And then there's just that place of curiosity. What I love when I talk to you two is you all kind of live in that curious adventure place. Like that's where you're always, always seem to be jiving. And here, like, at a retreat, we're doing all kinds of things. We're looking at all stages and how to also bring in intimacy when one needs to be in the resting, because, perimenopause, that was a total bitch for me. I'm in menopause now. And how do you navigate the seasons of your life? How do you navigate childbirth? How do you navigate the fucking month of your cycle? Right? I mean, seriously. If I have any advice for women who are still bleeding, honor and understand the cycle that when you are bleeding, take a pause, like literally rest and journal and heal and connect. I know you two, you just go.
We're looking at each other because at our retreat, we just got out of, April was not supposed to start bleeding. And she woke up and she's like, I started bleeding. And then like 10 minutes later, I was like, I just started bleeding too. And then the next day, another friend was like, I started bleeding. We're like,
and all I wanted to do was rest, but I couldn't because
we were busy.
We were busy.
You were busy. You were busy. Yeah. And then you just have to push through it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there are different kinds of sex educators. I'm one who does more hands-on, and I've really evolved. I was just really, when I first talked to you all, right? Sexological bodywork. I get to map. I get to this. It's all about the mapping and the hands-on. And I was really actually attached to administering the touch, right? Because it's like, I know this. I feel really, the thing that you said that I made you feel really comfortable. It's kind of like my superpower, but it's also, I think people who are really drawn to this work, they know how to really like get a sense of what a body needs, and they're really attuned. They really know how to listen to the body. So our job is to help you listen to your body. So the different kind of sex educators, there might be women who really specialize in the womb, right? In all this thing of our menarche, of all of these things. And there can be a sex educator. I happen to know, enough, about it to bring this into my sessions with my clients. But when women in your age are going through their cycle, and then you're faced with, I have to run a seminar. I have to kind of hijack what my body normally wants to do. Consider, April and Amy, if they're like, I'm in this place and we need to maybe see about having a day of honoring what our body needs. Mm-hmm. And teaching the women around, because usually we don't. We hijack. I mean, I worked in New York as a TV producer. You just go all the time. It's never stop, right? And so to learn those cycles and then to honor them and to see how you can find some embodied practice or some quietness or stillness, or the vulva hug meditation. Mm-hmm. Amy, I love you with the whole, when we would do the vulva cupping, she's like, that's like you're hugging my vulva. Fast forward, Dolly's vulva hug meditation. So you helped inspire that name. I love that.
I'm giving that to Midori though, and that's not mine. Midori, thank you for that teaching. And the vulva hug has changed my life, but and I think most vulvas need some sort of slowness with the external body, and then even when you're touching the vulva, a slowness before you start to be like jab, jab, wiggle, wiggle, whatever.
Yes.
And maybe me more so than April with the DTF. But I have a question because I want to come to this idea of the reboot, though.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm curious as to, so you were saying, for a lot of folks that you're working with the 40, I think so 45 to 65, but also I think you probably have worked with couples that are 25, 30, yes. 35. So why do you think are the main reasons why women and or couples find themselves in a place where they need a reboot? Like, how do they even go into that place where they're like, oh shit, I need support on this, or I need to start making some changes within me?
What usually starts to show up for people is mismatched libido, right? So I was describing my first marriage. So if I had discovered something like this, could we have saved our marriage? There were other things involved as well, but that was one of the big things. Could I have rebooted? Could we have figured out each other's sexual styles, each other's erotic blueprints, right? And so what shows up usually is somebody's prioritizing it and the other person is ignoring it, or pain shows up, or somebody says, I really want to learn to orgasm. I want to be penetrated. I want to feel as good as I do when I masturbate with a toy. Or they just really start to feel they're no longer connected. Okay. So connection goes away, or they're just going through the motions of sex. And so where I approach things is through embodiment, where I'd say like embodied intimacy is the cure to sexual connection. It's like the tonic. So I get these emails, I'm an empty nester, or I'm in my late 20s, just married, and I want to prevent all these things I hear about, like from my parents or from, older friends, or they have trauma that they want to heal. So there are definitely younger people who also come in, and I say that they're the smart ones because they're learning the roadmaps ahead of time. People who do come and wait until they're in their 40s and 50s, they're at the point, especially women, where they're going through the change. And when estrogen drops, the truth serum comes out, and you're just like, yeah, this isn't working for me. I've been pretending for a long time, and I want to actually feel something more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Hormones are a beast of all beasts, I think, right?
And they're truth tellers, they're really truth tellers. And so that's why, like, honoring the cycles, if I were to tell my younger self, like looking at the time right before you bleed, when you are at that edge, it always cracks me up when my husband would say, are you about to get your period? I'd say, don't fucking tell me I'm about to get my period, right? Can you relate? Like, fucking tell me. And then what happens the next day? You get your fucking period.
And then you're like, oh, you're right.
Then it's like, I'm like a new born again person. I'm like the sweetest pie.
Yeah. So that time when you're on that edge, like, journal the heck, like, get some stuff out. Like, really, like, this is like when you're like not sugarcoating things. Okay. Also, it's a way for women to immediately start having agency. You start knowing your cycle. You start knowing when you're going to turn into like the beast. It's like, hey, family, hey, kids, hey, friends. It's going to happen. I'm just letting everybody know, beauty has stepped back and beast is moving forward, because then there's a lot of agency over that,
Mm-hmm.
And then and then you can also create your schedule so that you can have a little bit more rest. And rest is going to look different for everybody, the A types of this. But this is why in the old days, right, there was the red tent. You've heard of the red tent, where the women go together. And when you are bleeding, that's when you're connected with your higher self. And that's when like the crones are there, like, metaphorically. Mm-hmm. But it's this, you're actually at your most wise. So if you listen to the body. So that's a whole direction of sex education. And I only say that and I share this because we have to learn to listen to what our needs are. So when you're ready for a reboot, what is showing up for you that you want to get curious about? What do you want to learn? What do you want to heal? And so coming up with this like kind of immersion experience, of course, I still work with people on Zooms. I still have online things. But when you get that quietness or you're, in your, the women are kind of evaluating, and the men too, they're evaluating what's working, what's not working. But sometimes I think in this area, women are the real leaders. Men want to please us. They will do whatever because they want us to be happy. So if women are saying, I really want to learn more about my body. I've been getting, and I don't know if it's just because I'm here in Tennessee now, but a lot of purity culture folks, where they're just like, religion has really robbed me of any sexual expression and freedom. It's really done a number on me. But I love my husband and I want to have like great self-expression. So can you help us?
Mm-hmm. The answer is yes. You can be helped. You can absolutely be helped. And so what's, do you have something you want to add to that, Amy?
I was just the part about you, because we're talking about like cycles, but also when you're saying, maybe I can if I know I'm about to lead in a couple of days, so I can give my partner like, hey partner, just so you know, like, a little bit of batshit Amy's coming up. But also if I'm just stressed out or like, having a really crazy work week, and I'm not saying this is an excuse to be an asshole to your partner, but hey, partner or children, I'm having a really hard week or day, or I'm predicting that this week or day is going to be really hard. And so I might be a little on edge. Can you work with me on that, or just have some awareness? So I think it can also happen outside of cycles, because I don't know who can't relate to having days, times. I mean, like April right now, she has a stressful week ahead of her, and she knows that. And so I'm going to do my best to take care of April even bigger and better, because I love her so much.
That's beautiful. I love you too. That's beautiful. Yes. But what you're speaking to, Amy, is just being aware, having what I call somatic awareness and attunement. Like, this is showing up for me, my anxiety or my plate is so full, and you are communicating, right? One of the things I love about you, Amy, is what a great communicator you are. You're very crystal clear. Well, maybe those few days.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? And so you're talking about communication, and everybody's just like, nope, I just got to go through. I just got to get this done. I got to get done. And then you don't have control over, because then the emotions just totally hijack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a great segue into talking about prevention of a reboot, because I know there's certain measures. For instance, if you do feel like you have an imbalance in hormones as a woman or as a human, you could get your hormones checked at different cycles to sort of find a balance. But I'm wondering if you have any other that's what I would suggest. Maybe you don't think that, but are there any preventative measures that all sorts of people can do to take advantage of, not really, but to take avoidance of entering the we need a reboot phase? And I apologize because my voice is so raspy and going out. So hopefully you could understand the question. Plus, I took a Mucinex, so I think my brain's a little Mucinexy.
And just I want to add that to her what April's asking too, because I think a lot of people will resonate with the couples reboot, where like we're mismatched, we're not connected. That it could be also with what we're talking about, like just like as a woman or as an individual, but the way that partners can do some preventative measures to not get into this like, oh fuck, we need a reboot now.
Right. Then I think looking at your own, like, how are you showing up? Because one of the challenges of working with couples is you're working with two individuals trying to have this bridge to partnership, right? So each individual has their own set of desires and issues. And then we're bringing like childhood stuff, attachment, all of this. And then we're trying to like build a bridge of connection. But sometimes people do not have what actually motivates them, and they are not clear about their desires, or they don't know about anatomy and all of these things. And so I say, then do your solo work, do solo work, listen to podcasts like yours, just getting comfortable hearing about all kinds of things sexual, reading the books, listening to the podcasts. My former assistant, Alyssa Lubacek, but she goes by Lube. It's so funny.
Love
she was on the Netflix Circle show. And she just did a TED talk. Like she's like hitting like 18 to 30-year-olds. Like she has her own podcast now. She was my assistant and it opened her whole world about like, oh my God, I want to be a sex educator. So she's doing like a sex counseling class through ASECT, something like that. There's different ways of being a sex educator. Okay. Not everybody has to come to a place, but you can read things. You can do it yourself stuff. You can take, time for prioritizing that you're going to get away as a couple. You're going to also have some solo time away, like how to nourish the body. My thing is about how, if I were to say the top things that I really want people to eat, if whether they come see me or they do, is how can you own your body, own your confidence, and own your sexuality. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then the path to owning your body is healing whatever needs to be healed. What keeps surfacing, what keeps showing up for you. Getting brutally honest about, if you're faking things. If you're not liking sex, or is there an emotional reason why you're not liking it? Is it a biophysical thing? Is it something that doesn't belong to you? So working with those types of people who can help you with any healing or trauma. And then how do you want your body to feel, right? On its own, in solitude, in partnership. So just kind of creating those goals for yourself, because then it can just get you on a whole, this isn't just like something you go and do. This is like a practice of life. This is like the ritual of life. I mean, the three of us, are educators in this work. We know the juiciness that can be experienced, the connection, the deep level of transformation and fun and love and everything else. And it can look different. It doesn't always have to be soft and fuzzy. It can also look like intense and hot and sexy and leather and whatever is your thing. But we just know it's like this adult playground with consent, that feels really good for us to have self-expression. Mm-hmm. And so if people just focus and start to listen to what their bodies need to heal it, and then start to develop some confidence around that, because you start to developing some mastery, And again, like listening to your body, like you were talking about when you're going to have a tough week, anxiety and sickness and all this there. Can I get some extra support? Communicating what your needs are.
I just tried to do that last night. It was nearly impossible. I was like, I just need support. My partner's like, I don't understand. You're yelling at me. I was like, I don't know how to communicate. So
you actually can't yell. You had no voice.
I mean, I was just like kind of feeling like in my childhood space is just all of the things, just being exhausted. And sometimes it's hard to communicate those things.
It is.
I don't know if you have any suggestions. If you're having like a hard time communicating, I feel like I'm a great communicator, except when I'm tired, at my lowest self, feeling sick, then I want the help, but I can't find a way to ask for it.
And you had already, it was because we had just got back from the retreat last night. Mm-hmm. You had already been gone for a week. You hadn't been, physically and in-person connection with your partner, and then coming home in this place where you're feeling like you need some extra care and you're trying to convey that. And then he might be feeling, I don't know, like where have you, I know where you've been, but where have you been? I feel disconnected too. I need things too. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know if that's what he's saying.
I need a mini reboot though. I feel like a mini reboot.
Sounds like you guys both did, but like you really needed a reboot.
Yeah.
What do you do then, Dolly? What do you do?
Help.
That's when we look, and this, Amy, from when we studied somatic together, that's when, before you get in a crisis situation, knowing your attachment styles, right? Knowing if, what your needs are. If you're a little bit more anxious, you need that more solo time. You want to go to your cave. You feel really confident. So I haven't worked with you on attachment styles, but in this case, there can be that thing. And I know there's something that you do love. I remember reading in the book about that thing about you getting small is kind of a thing. That's for you.
My thing.
Wait,
feeling small.
Yeah. Wasn't that something also for you, April, with BDSM or something?
Well, we're both pretty subby. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm subby. I like to feel important and
special.
And yes, and special. And that's pretty much it.
So the biggest thing is, how can you pause? Something's happening. You're saying, oh, and you're feeling like you're having your little tantrum moment. You're feeling like your little child. And he's like, well, I have needs. And he hasn't seen you. He might want you. He might this. So how can everybody just have a pause, not react, and say, I'm just getting home. and I want to hear and catch up with all of your needs. I feel such a level of exhaustion. Could I just curl up in your lap right now? Could I just be held by you so that I can just kind of feel you without having to have a lot of conversation? I just want to feel your spirit. And then I'll just see if it kind of recharges me. Sometimes that touch and that softness, but making the request from a place of not, intensity, but just like, my body can't handle this. So I'm going to just be a little quiet and I'm going to just feel into what I need. Oh my God, I would love it to crawl into your lap. Mm-hmm. Could I just do that? And could we just be there for 5 minutes and then see what we need after that?
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Totally.
Yeah. Because when we're vulnerable, we can either just lash out and cry and get upset. And then I just came home and this, and then you're in another room and, we don't know, but we just have to. That's the knowing your body and then starting to have confidence for how your body's reacting. And so like in a retreat situation, we're practicing this when things are not, in crisis. And so they're getting practice with it. So when crisis does show up, then we can interact with it. But for you, listening to the body and touch, that is the thing that we as mammals especially sometimes just need, that nourishing touch. The nourishing touch to feel seen, to feel safe. He would have probably benefited just as well from quiet hugging and holding. Yeah. He's really probably missing you and like, wow, she just did all of these things. I don't know about it. And now I'm feeling like she's having demands on me. Like, what the fuck? Like, what about my needs? So everybody's like, what about me? What about me? Like, let's just see if we can bridge some connection. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
that's great advice.
Even with hugs, you hug somebody for 10 seconds, oxytocin starts washing out. I know you with Perito, or I don't know what dogs you have these days, but the hugs.
Perito and Legend, we got them both. Yeah.
You still have them both. No, I have all my dogs now here in Tennessee, so I totally get it now. But finding those things that can just calm and nourish our bodies, then you're like, oh, there I am. Because in those moments of crisis, you kind of forget who you are. Your limbic nervous system has just taken over. And you're just like trying to fight for survival. And can somebody hear me? Can somebody like help me? I need help. Like, so you need a life. What are those life rafts termed to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Preserver, whatever.
Life preserver.
Yeah. So sometimes it can just be like, the life preservers, I just need to crawl into your lap and just have you feel you, just hold, just some stillness.
Yeah, and even if it's just like even if it's like 10 minutes, and then maybe like if in April's case, and then maybe once I feel a little more grounded, and then like I could we can see what I can maybe share with you. Yeah,
exactly. Then it feels reciprocal. Then it feels like you can sit there and you can just hold. You can straddle him around and hold him that way, and just like really feel, as opposed to the small curled up ball like a kitten, you could like grab your legs around and hold, and maybe just being there. Then if I know April, that's going to start to lead to something else.
Yeah, most likely. Exactly.
But then you just start rocking and undulating. You're like, oh, wait a minute. I know what we need. But you have a healthy sexual relationship. So that can lead there. But for those who aren't there yet, they're not feeling seen. I did a session with a couple the other day, and he says, gosh, I haven't been told anything that she likes about me, I think, since before the kids were born. That's 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And he feels like so not seen, right? So moms get babies and all these responsibilities happen, and the dad's often like, what about, like, they get forgotten about. And he says, she's even treating the dog better than me. So it's like, how can you model, like, how important, whoever is at home, whenever one of you walks in, stop what you're doing, get up. The most important guest just came in, and you tell the kids, the dogs, nope, I'm going to go give mom a hug right now. Nope, I'm going to go give dad, mom's home. Let's go see how we can help her. We have to model valuing connection, valuing the hugs, and not get into those routines of like, you're in the other room, somebody comes up, yeah, I'm over here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do your thing. And then like, maybe you see them an hour later, so what do we like when we get to go visit a friend? We love it when you're like, oh, what can I give you, friend? You want something to drink? Like, you feel like you're being welcomed. So we have to look at, in our relationships, whether they're married or not, are we treating the other person like, Like you're happy to see them.
Mm-hmm.
You want some connection before we start listing out these things of, what you didn't do and what you forgot. And we get into those habits that are just negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell April's taking it in, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know you have a whole, I don't know if program's the right word, a whole approach. And you do, because you were in LA and now you're in Nashville. So it's
Yeah.
the Relationship Reboot Retreat in
Yeah.
Nashville.
And I'm even thinking of getting rid of the word reboot because I think it might even conjure up like something's wrong. Like if somebody just needs a relationship retreat, you just need time for yourselves. You just need to get away and you want to learn some stuff. So I couldn't figure out how I was going to do this work because we owned our business building in LA. I had seminars. I hosted trainings for sexological bodywork. I've had other educators there. You all never got to come to that building. I was sad for that.
I know.
I know. But when we moved here and I just moved, I would go back and forth to LA to see clients. And we sold that building last year. I thought, what am I going to do? Like we live out in the country. Like how? But Nashville is such a destination for people, like, really wanting to just come enjoy themselves for a long weekend. And my husband came up with a brilliant idea. He says, let's rent a sexy high-rise apartment. That can be your office. We can use it when we go downtown to hear music. We don't have to come back to the country. But then like your clients can stay there. I'm like, oh my gosh, brilliance. So that's what I did. So one of the things I love, I'm such a caretaker. Acts of service is my thing. I set up the space beautifully. I have all kinds of props and things, the massage table. You get like little goodies of food. You get a gift bag. And so pick you up from the airport, you stay in this gorgeous apartment. And typically people come for 3 days. I'm now trying to encourage the 4th day. They come in like on a Thursday. We work together Friday and Saturday. So I don't stay in the space with you. This is for you. Women will come by themselves or with a girlfriend, maybe if I'm working with them a little separately. And then there's some sessions that can overlap. And if somebody needs a solo session, then the other person goes to the gym or we schedule a massage outside of the space. And we work like 10 to 7 with a 90-minute meal break. And then I leave. Mm-hmm. And then you get to still use the space. Massage table props, all my like fun goodies.
Ooh.
Oh my,
if you're not watching on YouTube, she has some fun props.
Oh yeah. This one scares people, but when you feel it on your back for the first time.
It's like a glove with nails attached to it.
You're like
if anybody
like
doesn't
bear
have
claws.
a video on.
So one of the things, we'll all erotic blueprint, like the Jaya, the kinky, the sexual, sensual, energetic. And she has this test online. It's free. It's amazing roadmap. But I use props so that we can ascertain, like, what are you feeling in your body? And so it's like a huge breakthrough for people. So then when I leave, they get to like have access to these props. And then I teach them how to come up with their own little, boxes at home that they can do what we call sensation vacation. So then the massage table, I think, is one of my best sex toys around because it allows people to actually receive, So yeah, we have the props and we have all these fun things to help understand people's sexual styles. But then we get to do the vulva mapping or the prostate discovery. And then once we build this foundation of embodiment, so you're asking kind of the program. The program is like this basis of embodiment. So I begin with Zooms before you arrive to Nashville. So we're doing either 3 solo Zooms, or if you're in a partnership, at least 1 as a couple and then 2 solos. So I'm understanding what their wishes are, what their wants are, where things are stopping, and how to get them with their goals. And then they come here and then we have this immersion. So lots of intimacy exercises, lots of fun things we did in somatica, Amy, things from will of consent, all of these different trainings that I have just kind of get melded in. But most important is we have to deal with what shows up in the space. And what I mean with that is one client once, she wasn't sure of her attraction and her desire with her husband. And she was like, am I like, what's happening? Am I, am I preferring a female touch? Like, what's happening? And so we did all of this blueprinting, and I would like do an energetic touch. And then we'd bring in her husband's hands, and her body would respond, always responding to the husband. And I was like, sister, your body is really craving your husband. What is the block? So we had the second day all set up for like vulvovaginal mapping, and then this other massage I do called tumescence, where we're looking at, and the partner helps me. So they're getting a 4-handed massage with looking at erogenous zones all over the body, and genitals are last. But it's like really like getting all of this dopamine and nitric oxide and oxytocin all in your body. But when I got here that morning, I could tell he'd slept in the living room. I was like, oh shit, what happened? So there was a to-do, and I tried to like do this grounding meditation and healing and let's let it go and love bubble. And what do you want in the bubble? What do you want out of all these things? She was stuck. And let me tell you, then I said, I think we need some time alone. We ended up having to do a childhood regression. And what was stuck for her, nothing in her vagina or her vulva, her heart was so closed off. And we had to do this. We were probably together for 3 hours, and then, and really just pulling out all of this stuff. And she realized, oh my God, I'm treating him the way my mother was treating me. Nothing's good enough. Nothing's this. And so she just was like this ice over her heart. So we just melted it. And I'm holding her and comforting her and being the mother and being the sister and just really loving her. And then I said, let me, you stay here. Let me get us some snacks. We brought her back to, had her husband, order from this restaurant, go pick it up. Like, we just needed to care for her and love on her. And so we don't know, we have all these plans for sexy this and, penis massage and mapping and tumescence, erotic massage. And then sometimes real shit shows up. And then after that, we were like all exhausted from it. So we took the evening off, and I ended up working with them another full day because we needed to. But she showed up. She's like, hi, I'm ready. What are we going to do? And he was just so thankful. And these are people, they're more nervous. I tend to attract people who are kind of more newbies in this, like the way the people you all roll with, they're like, they know all of these terms, all this. I tend to attract newbies, and they had an amazing healing experience, but like I had to do something that wasn't planned.
Yeah. Well, this sounds all so great and innovative and different than a lot of other retreats. So I'm sure there's going to be folks out there that are still newbies that are listening, or that they really feel connected to these messages and the story that you just told. I know I did. So are there ways that folks obviously can work with you, find the retreat, access the healing that you can provide them? Yeah. Give us all the ways to reach you.
Yeah. Well, my handle, I'm pleasuremuse.com. All right. So that's my original business is pleasuremuse.com, which is intimacy coaching. Zoom. I do Zoom. I have to tell you, COVID really taught me how to interact with people on Zoom. I had no idea. I mean, I vulva map people. I don't even need to see their genitals. I just need to watch their faces and their expressions. And it's it's a different skill set because they are administering their touch. They are having immediate agency. But if a trauma or something shows up, I'm like, what's that? You stop breathing. They're like, oh yeah, there it is. Like they're like telling, and there's, do we want to stay with it? Do we want to move beyond it? You all know when we mapped, but I was so attached, like I said a little earlier, to that I had to do the touch. But no, the COVID has really shown me. I sometimes work with couples where they'll get a massage table and I'm guiding him to map her from remotely, or I'm guiding in all sorts of things in the embodied masturbation practices, things like that. So it's this idea of developing a sense of embodiment and what does your body need so that like I'm in that rest place. If I'm in a rest place because of some illness, how can I still bring intimacy into my rest? I'm in a healing phase. I'm healing trauma. What does that look like? This one couple, truly probably one of my favorite couples, I worked with her for a couple of years with some trauma that she was sharing for the first time to her husband of having been married over 30 years. And she hadn't shared a trauma that happened to her, but she'd been working with her therapist and with me to talk about this because she was enjoying sex, but there was still something in the way. So this is like, what is in the way, folks? Like ladies, men, like what do we need to get under and extrapolate? So we worked together and then he started working with me on Zoom. We had great progress. And then I started offering this, like, can we be your first couple? Like, let's go out there. So when they came out here, amazing healing session, things that I can't, like at first for me to witness after we did that beautiful tumescence massage and everything. And I whispered to her, I was like, okay, we're going to give your body back to you. I just want you to integrate. She started like pulling at her chest, like pulling out and then like moving. And this is somebody who's very shy, like keep the lights out. I don't want my body to be seen. And her breasts, and she's pulling. And then she starts to hold like this, like something's over her. And she's holding it for a long time. And we're just here holding space, letting her process. My integrative music is on. And then she like lets it go. And then she sits up and she's like, okay, what's next? And usually people after this are like, it's like, what was that? She said, well, whenever we've done any of the trauma work, you always tell me like, does that spot, do you want to be with it, engage with it? What does it need? And usually we just hold it and we just give it attention and then it winds away. So after we did all of this, it's like I felt this energy was just around me and I didn't know what to do with it. So I just held it. And then it kind of was done and I let it go. And I was like, we just witnessed something like miraculous. And then they came back the next time and she's like, we want to come back again because we did all this healing now. And then we discovered that she's a kinky sexual style. I want to learn about kinky stuff. I want to learn about submission and domination, like all of these like really fun things. But again, I'm learning new things every time I work with people because I'm seeing new things. But granted, we had 2 years of Zoom work, trust, like all the stuff we were healing. And it's really fun because I love these people. Like they become part of my life, you know? So they don't have to be really big things. It can also be that you're playing in that field of curiosity and adventure. So in my retreats, I think I probably, in those stages, I'm probably in the healing, curious, and adventure stage. Yeah. So that people can kind of like, if something needs to heal and it exposes itself, then I can be there to be the solve. Most important, I want to teach you how to be your own, nourishment, your own self. I want to teach your partner how to like listen to your body so that if something takes you over, right? You're having, if we had done some work maybe with April, you and your partner, he'd be like, you're feeling really like maybe you need something. You couldn't express it. I get it. Right now, I'm going to pause and I'm going to just say, April, come here. Let me just hold you. Let's just talk in 5 minutes or figure it out. But right now, let's just be still, right? It's like we want him. That's where we want that masculine sometimes to be like the oak tree, like to be steady, where we're like all over the place, Yeah. So there can be just so many beautiful things that show up here. And then it can just be really fun exploration of the body and anatomy. And a woman reclaiming her body. I've had women like, what's below my waist is for my husband.
Ooh,
yeah.
And like as I say that, I'm not saying ooh like judging some people because I know that has been a thing for centuries upon centuries upon centuries,
Correct.
and it still is a thing, and hence why we have Shameless Sex and why you're doing the work that you're doing is to teach people or inspire people that your body is your body first and foremost, and yes, we share bodies with other people if we want to, and sometimes maybe I'm a sub and I'm like doing things for my dom or whatever, but it's still my body and I'm still living by what works for me. And our time is running short, but I just want to really say, and I know April agrees, we just absolutely love you as a human. And we absolutely love and appreciate and adore you in the work that you do. And we've experienced it on our own. Also, I was in a training with you. And so I got to, and we in our home group was the same home group. So I really got to get to know you in that space. And I'm so elated that you're still working with people, in person and Zoom, but you've expanded it to this very intimate retreat space style that is unique and different. And I believe that you said, and at pleasuremuse.com, the best place to find anything in terms of working with Dolly, going to your retreats, booking private sessions. So everyone, please, 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 if you're interested, go and check that out. Are you on social media too? Can they stalk you on social media?
Yeah, Pleasure Muse is my handle.
Okay,
and
cool.
on Instagram, that's where I am. And and then I have my online courses, Pleasure RX, video rituals, and then do-it-yourself vulva vaginal mapping called Touch, Feel, Connect.
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have all those links too.
Awesome. And it's exciting because we're in a time, and because you have big voices, you too, and you're sex experts of the year, like you're leaders in this work, and there are different kinds of sex educators. Mm-hmm. And so we want people to I want them to go to your retreat, and then maybe they're needing something more intimate here. With my retreats, they're not this is the time of year. It's we schedule it when you can come. So I'm probably doing 2 to 3 a month. And then I reserve the other time for some local clients who come in to work with me.
So it is. It's very personalized. And if anyone's listening and you're ready for that personalized work, whether it's for you or for you and a partner, please go check out pleasuremuse.com. Again, everything in the show notes, and listen to episode 102 with Dolly if you want to hear more about vulva mapping.
She's in our book too.
And she's in our book as well.
Oh,
and we just love you, Dolly. And then to our listeners, I'm going to say this for April because her voice, she lost it at our retreat. And we just want to let you all know that we love you all so, so very much. If you love us and you haven't done so already, please review us wherever you're listening, iTunes, Spotify, all the things. We already said this in the intro probably, but we have events coming up. So you might be coming to a city near you. Please go and buy tickets and come hang out with us. Go to shamelesssex.com to learn more specifically in the event section. And April is in her ASMR voice is going to say what she always says at the end, which is, all right, everyone, ciao for now.